The fluorescent lights in the hallway buzzed faintly as I stood frozen outside our bedroom door at 3:12 a.m. Anna's side of the bed was still empty, the sheets untouched and cool to the touch. Her text from hours earlier glowed on my phone screen, "Work party wrapping up soon. Don't wait up, love. The team's celebrating a big win." The words felt ordinary, almost comforting in their familiarity. My name is Mark. At 35, I worked as a structural engineer, designing bridges and buildings that needed to withstand anything nature threw at them. Anna, 33, handled marketing for a growing tech company. We'd been married 8 years, parents to our bright 5-year-old daughter Emma, whose laughter usually filled our modest suburban home with warmth. I had always believed our life was solid, built on trust, shared routines, and the quiet understanding that we were each other's safe harbor. That night, the house smelled of leftover lasagna from dinner and the faint vanilla of Anna's usual perfume lingering in the air. I paced the living room, the wooden floorboards creaking softly under my socks. When the front door finally clicked open, Anna slipped inside, her coat damp from a light drizzle. Her cheeks carried an unnatural flush, and as she hung her bag, I caught a quick, almost guilty glance at her phone before she tucked it away. "Hey," she whispered, offering that charming smile that had always disarmed me. "Sorry it ran so late." Victor had everyone in stitches with his stories again. Victor, her colleague. I'd heard the name casually before. Nothing alarming. I pulled her close in the dim entryway light. Her body felt warm, her hair carrying a subtle mix of her perfume and something else, perhaps the smoky scent of a crowded venue. "Glad you're home," I murmured. But as we climbed the stairs together, a small voice in my mind noted how she avoided my eyes for just a second too long. Lying beside her later, listening to her breathing even out into sleep, I stared at the ceiling shadows. Everything seemed normal. Yet that late return planted the first uneasy seed. Little did I know this single night would unravel the foundations of our marriage, exposing lies, hidden meetings, and a betrayal that would force me to question everything I thought I knew about love and loyalty. Mark begins the story anchored in comfortable expectations shaped by 8 years of marriage, shared responsibilities, daily affection, and the assumption that commitment naturally ensures transparency. This illusion stems from his optimistic view of their partnership as stable and predictable. Anna's return home introduces the first contrast: flushed cheeks, unfamiliar scent traces, and a micro-hesitation with her phone, subtle behaviors that clash with the normal narrative she presents. Psychologically, Mark's immediate rationalization, just a late work event, reflects denial as a protective mechanism, preserving the family unit and avoiding disruption to Emma's world. The hook moment captures the slow emotional awakening typical in betrayal scenarios, where reality intrudes gradually rather than dramatically. Sensory details like the buzzing lights, cool sheets, and lingering smells ground the scene in realism, highlighting how environmental cues can heighten internal unease. This section establishes the gap between past trust and emerging suspicion, setting the stage for deeper disillusionment as illusions of security begin to fracture under accumulating evidence. Life resumed its familiar cadence in the following weeks, a comforting rhythm that made any doubts feel misplaced. Mornings brought the aroma of brewing coffee and toasted bread, Emma chattering about preschool while I helped her zip her jacket. Anna would kiss us both goodbye, her touch light and affectionate, reminding me about soccer practice or the grocery list. Evenings often ended with the three of us on the couch, Emma's small body nestled between us as we read stories, the lamp's soft glow warming the room. Yet subtle shifts appeared like hairline cracks in concrete. Anna's work obligations increased. She'd call from the office, background noise suggesting keyboards and muffled conversations. "This campaign launch is intense, but we're almost there." One evening, her route home showed an unusual detour on the traffic app, a quiet residential area far from her usual path. When I mentioned it casually over dinner, the clink of silverware punctuating the moment, she smiled easily. "Construction everywhere." I took a shortcut to avoid the mess. Her phone became an extension of herself. She'd tilt the screen away during texts or quickly silence notifications. One Saturday while she showered, it buzzed on the counter. I didn't look, respecting privacy, but the preview flashed briefly. Last night was unexpected, can't wait for more. My stomach tightened, a cold prickle spreading across my skin despite the warm kitchen air. Emma picked up on the undercurrents in her innocent way. "Mommy laughs more when she's on her phone," she observed one afternoon as we played with blocks on the rug, the plastic clicking softly. I assured her it was work excitement, but her words lingered like a faint echo. My best friend David joined me for a backyard grill session one weekend. The charcoal smoke rose into the crisp autumn air as we flipped burgers. "Anna seems a little distracted lately," he ventured carefully. I laughed it off, the sound forced even to my ears. "Just busy season. Happens to everyone." Inside, tension coiled. Anna remained charming during family time, helping Emma with crafts, the scent of glue and markers filling the playroom, but when alone with me, her responses grew shorter, her gaze drifting. One night in bed, the sheets cool against our skin, I reached for her hand. "Everything all right between us?" She squeezed back, but her fingers felt tense. "Of course. Why ask?" A pause stretched, filled only by the distant hum of traffic outside. Her body language, slight shoulder stiffness, suggested evasion. I told myself these were minor stresses from her job. The ordinary days continued, laced with small mysteries that I wasn't yet ready to confront. Yet each hint added weight, pressing quietly against the life we had built. Anna's early behaviors reveal motivations rooted in emotional unfulfillment within the routines of family life. Seeking validation and excitement, she engages in an emerging affair with Victor, using work as a cover that allows her to maintain the facade of a devoted wife and mother. This creates internal conflict, guilt tempered by justification, manifesting in evasive gestures like angled phone screens and tense body language. For Mark, secure attachment and years of positive history trigger cognitive dissonance. He rationalizes clues, detours, texts, emotional distance, as external stressors rather than relational threats, a common coping strategy to avoid the pain of potential loss. Emma's innocent observations act as emotional amplifiers, heightening Mark's protective instincts and linking the central betrayal to family stakes. Sensory and micro details, the smoke from the grill, clicking blocks, cool sheets, illustrate how everyday environments become charged with unspoken tension. David's gentle probing introduces an external perspective that challenges Mark's denial without forcing confrontation. Overall, this phase shows how attachment patterns and fear of disruption sustain blindness to a partner's shifting needs, building low-level anxiety that foreshadows deeper psychological pressure. Suspicion built like gathering storm clouds, subtle at first, then impossible to ignore as details accumulated. Anna began mentioning weekend team events more frequently. One Friday she packed an overnight bag with deliberate care, including a new blouse that caught the bedroom light with its subtle sheen. Networking for the promotion, she explained, lingering over Emma's bedtime story with extra hugs. The car smelled of her familiar vanilla when I helped load it, but her posture seemed slightly rigid. While she was away, the house echoed with quiet. Emma asked why Mommy worked on weekends, her small voice carrying worry as we baked cookies, the warm dough scent filling the kitchen. I checked company calendars online, nothing matched her description exactly. Upon her return Sunday, Anna's energy felt heightened, almost vibrant. She recounted anecdotes about colleagues, but her eyes flickered away when Victor's name surfaced. Unpacking, a hotel receipt slipped from her bag before she swiftly retrieved it. The name didn't match the usual corporate venues. A coincidence? Or a lead? Emotional intimacy cooled. Conversations stayed surface level, touches felt rehearsed. One evening in the study, laptop glow lighting her face in cool blue, she closed the screen abruptly as I entered. "Just reviewing notes," she said, her smile charming yet not reaching her eyes. Fingers twisting her sleeve revealed underlying defensiveness. "Is there something going on?" I asked quietly, the room's air thick with unspoken questions. "Tired from everything," she replied, voice soft. "You know how it is." Texts arrived at odd hours. Screen flashes showed affectionate emojis and references to V. Once, while Anna was out, Emma innocently handed me the phone. Mommy's friend sent a funny picture. A quick glimpse showed a warm, personal selfie before I looked away, heart pounding. David mentioned during a run, pavement slapping under our shoes in the cool morning air, that he'd seen Anna at a cafe with a man but assumed it was professional. His hesitation now felt layered. Natalie, Anna's confidante, visited for coffee. The aroma of fresh brew and pastries filled the kitchen, but she steered talk away from Anna's recent moods, her glances suggesting withheld knowledge. A financial oddity surfaced too, small transfers to a new account Anna described as, for emergencies. Combined with everything else, it hinted at quiet preparations. One evening as her car lights faded down the street for another client dinner, the house settled into heavy silence. The clock's tick seemed louder. I sat in the dim living room, leather couch cool beneath me, wondering if paranoia was clouding my judgment or if the woman I loved was truly drifting away. This section traces the relationship's collapse through escalating stages of suspicion. Initial rationalization of isolated incidents gives way to pattern recognition as clues, hotel receipts, heightened energy post-absences, financial shifts, accumulate and interconnect with the central affair. A key point of no return occurs when Mark begins mentally cataloging microbehaviors rather than dismissing them, shifting from passive trust to active doubt. Anna's defensiveness and charm mask her internal justification for seeking external validation amid routine overwhelm. Red herrings, such as potentially legitimate events or David's delayed observation, temporarily ease tension only to intensify it, creating layered deception. Emma's accidental discovery and Natalie's complicit silence deepen interpersonal conflicts, converging threads around loyalty and hidden knowledge. Sensory cues like laptop glow or pavement sounds heighten psychological realism, making the emotional toll visceral. By this phase, reconciliation grows distant as past memories become tainted, and Mark's perception of reality fractures. The inevitability builds as small lies expose potential deeper truths, pushing toward proof-gathering. The uncertainty became unbearable, a constant low hum beneath daily life. I contacted Paul, a discreet private investigator, meeting him in a quiet diner where the smell of fried food and coffee hung heavy. His steady demeanor and firm handshake offered a strange sense of control amid chaos. Signing the agreement felt like admitting defeat, yet necessary. Normalcy became performance. I'd swing Emma on the backyard swing set, her giggles contrasting my inner turmoil, grass tickling our feet. Anna continued her routines, attentive yet distant, a new piece of jewelry catching light one evening as she claimed it was a team gift. Her fingers trembled slightly fastening it. Paul's initial findings arrived encrypted, photos of Anna and Victor in an out-of-the-way cafe, heads close, hands brushing. Timestamps aligned with her meetings. Another set captured them entering a hotel, emerging later with relaxed intimacy. Scrolling in the darkened study, screen light harsh on my face, nausea rose sharply. Setbacks followed. One reported trip proved a real conference. Paul verified details, bringing momentary relief laced with self-doubt. Was I manufacturing betrayal? Deeper layers emerged. Surveillance showed Natalie meeting Anna, their body language indicating urgent, confidential talk. David later admitted seeing them together but withholding to not worry me unnecessarily, introducing a secondary twist of protective silence that muddied alliances. Late one night, with Anna asleep, I accessed her laptop, password unchanged. Messages revealed emotional and physical intimacy, expressions of feeling alive again, frustrations with family routine, plans for private moments. My hands shook as I read, the room's warmth turning stifling. Moral conflicts raged. Confront too soon and risk denial. Wait and endure more deception. Emma's innocent remark about mommy's special friend added painful stakes. I took a brief hiking escape to Colorado, trails crunching under boots amid pine-scented air. There I met Sophie, a photographer whose open conversation felt refreshingly free of suspicion. It reminded me of connection without shadows, though I maintained clear boundaries. Paul's complete dossier arrived, timelines, records, photos confirming months of the affair. Every unexplained route, guarded moment, and late night aligned devastatingly. Sitting in my parked car that evening, dashboard glow casting shadows, engine silent, I held the proof. The threads had converged. Confrontation loomed inevitable. Mark's internal emotions, shock, anger, grief, and hypervigilance, directly propel external actions like hiring Paul and enduring moral dilemmas during investigation. Betrayal trauma symptoms manifest in physical sensations, shaking hands, nausea, stifling warmth, driving the need for concrete evidence, while guilt creates hesitation and self-doubt amid red herrings. Anna's actions, such as gift explanations and charm, stem from guilt mixed with continued detachment. Secondary characters amplify pressure. Natalie's knowledge exposes hidden complicity, David's silence adds loyalty conflict, reframing earlier interactions. Emma's remarks heighten emotional stakes, linking parental betrayal to child impact. The Colorado trip serves as a coping interlude, introducing subtle empowerment through new perspective with Sophie. These emotions and actions build cumulative tension, where partial relief from setbacks only sharpens the final realization. The phase illustrates how fear and pride influence decisions, turning passive suspicion into active pursuit and preparing the ground for climactic exposure. I arranged the evidence on the dining table one evening after Emma's sleepover, the folder's weight symbolic under the warm lamplight. Anna entered, kicking off her shoes, rain scent clinging to her coat. She stopped at the sight of the photos and documents. "Mark, what is all this?" Her voice started steady but cracked. "I know about Victor," I said quietly, heart pounding. "The affair. Months of it. The messages, hotels, everything." She sat heavily, face paling. Silence stretched, broken by the clock's steady tick. Her fingers traced a photo edge, tremor betraying composure. "It began as talking," she admitted eventually, voice low. "I felt lost in the routine, invisible. Victor listened, made me feel desired again. I never meant to hurt you or Emma." Anger and disbelief surged. Lying every day. Maintaining the perfect family image while living a double life. Tears welled as defenses softened. I was overwhelmed. "It was a mistake. I love you, let's get counseling. I'll end it completely." Hours of intense dialogue followed, pauses heavy with raw emotion. She apologized deeply, promising change, but each word highlighted the irreparable breach. Memories reframed painfully, trust lay in shards. "I can't pretend it's fixable," I said finally, pulling away from her reaching hand. The room felt colder. We slept apart that night, the guest bed's sheets foreign and chilled. Anna's unaddressed feelings of unfulfillment and routine overwhelm caused her to pursue emotional and physical connection with Victor, leading to sustained deception that eroded marital foundations. This secrecy caused Mark's suspicion and investigation, culminating in confrontation. The effect of undeniable proof forced Anna's admission, initially minimized then regretful, while Mark's calm presentation prevented escalation but solidified his resolve. Chain reactions appear as overlapping secrets: Natalie's knowledge, financial moves, David's silence, converge, intensifying psychological tension. Immediate consequences include emotional rawness, separate sleeping, and shattered illusions. Anna's plea for reconciliation clashes with the cumulative damage, making repair unlikely. The climax demonstrates how one partner's unmet needs, when expressed through betrayal rather than communication, trigger family-wide disruption and force pivotal decisions rooted in self-preservation. Divorce proceedings moved forward with measured pain. Julia Carter, our lawyer, navigated custody and assets with professionalism, prioritizing Emma's stability. We explained the separation gently to our daughter in the living room, her tears breaking our hearts as lavender lotion scent lingered from bedtime routines. I relocated to a nearby apartment, its fresh paint smell signaling new beginnings. David supported tirelessly, helping move, sharing quiet evenings processing grief. Anna ended contact with Victor and sought therapy, showing remorse in co-parenting. During another Colorado hike, crisp air and pine scents clearing my mind, I reconnected with Sophie. Our talks felt natural, inspiring me to explore photography and embrace openness without past shadows. Emma adjusted gradually, her laughter returning in our shared time. I learned healthier boundaries and self-prioritization. Reflecting now, I see my assumption that commitment guaranteed loyalty was a blind spot. Anna's choices reflected her struggles, but consequences reshaped us all. I emerged more resilient and self-aware. For the first time in years, I felt my life was truly mine. The chapter closed, but life continued quietly, carrying hard-won lessons in trust's fragility and resilience's strength. Nearly 20 to 25% of marriages experience infidelity, and I was one of them. What defines us is how we choose to heal and move forward. Across the narrative arc, marked transitions from content optimism through betrayal trauma, marked by shock, hypervigilance, anger, and grief, to wiser empowerment and emotional resilience. The central infidelity, fueled by Anna's unfulfillment, serves as the axis around which subplots, Emma's observations, Natalie's complicity, David's hesitant loyalty, financial secrecy, converge in chain reactions, exposing layered deceptions and moral ambiguities. Trust erodes gradually via red herrings and microclues, illustrating human blindness to subtle shifts and the power of denial as a short-term coping mechanism. Mark's mistakes in rationalizing signs highlight lessons about proactive communication and recognizing one's blind spots, while Anna's defensiveness reveals justification patterns common in attachment conflicts. Psychological realism shines through sensory details and inner monologues, grounding emotional responses like disgust, insecurity, and eventual peace. The confrontation marks a point of no return, leading to divorce rather than reconciliation due to irreparable trust damage. Cumulative growth emphasizes that while betrayal fractures reality and self-perception, it can catalyze self-awareness, boundary setting, and openness to new connections. Forgiveness remains individual. Here, co-parenting and personal rebuilding offer bittersweet closure, underscoring resilience's role in rebuilding after loss.